Clay Helton after a tragic, disappointing loss to Stanford. I'll talk to you about it and who might be interested in the job. It might be a team down in Jacksonville that might want to hold their breath after this announcement. I'll tell you after the bumper. What's good people? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. USC has announced that football coach Clay Helton has been fired. Athletic director Mike Bohn announced on Monday. The decision comes 2 days after the Trojans, who came into the season with conference title aspirations, were embarrassed in a 42-28 home defeat to Stanford. It goes on to talk about how Helton had been in the program since 2010. He was hired to be the quarterback's coach on Lane Kiffin's initial staff. He served as offensive coordinator under both Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian before being hired as the head coach by Pat Hayden in 2015. Including 2 stints as an interim coach, Helton went 46-24 as the head coach of the Trojans, including a Rose Bowl win to cap the 2016 season. But since that 2016 season, it's just been super lackluster, super underwhelming, super disappointing, and just not USC football that people in California and people essentially across the country want to see. Oregon is the new USC. Oregon is the team that players out in LA, out in Southern California, Northern California, the West Coast. Let's just give it the West Coast. If they don't go down to Bama or they don't go to Ohio State or Clemson, they want to play at Oregon. So if you're a West Coast kid and you want to stay on the West Coast, you go to Oregon. You don't go to USC. And now a few of them are choosing to go to UCLA because UCLA's got some ballers. UCLA has won a big-time game over LSU this year. But they don't go to USC. Bryce Young, who a lot of people think have taken over as the favorite of the Heisman Trophy, is from Los Angeles. And he goes to Alabama. DJ, the quarterback at Clemson, who will probably be a top 5, top 10 pick when he's eligible to go to the NFL draft, 6'5", 240. He's from LA, and he quarterbacks at Clemson. And I think out of the top 25 high school prospects that come out over the last couple of years, every year, the top 25 high school prospects, very few of them in the state of California, specifically from Southern California region, very few of them choose to stay home and play for the Trojans. That is just unacceptable. That has been a problem for Clay Helton for a while now. And since that 2016 team that won the Rose Bowl, or 2016 year that he won the Rose Bowl, it's just been simple regression every year. Even Sam Darnold, who ended up being a number 3 overall pick, was drafted off potential and not because he had stellar play at USC. He had it when they won the Rose Bowl, and then he came back and regressed the very next year. He just got drafted off potential. This team has not been what it should be. And people thought with Keaton Slovis coming into this year after he had a terrific 2020 season, in the shortened season, or 2019, 2020, whatever, he had the shortened season. He did great and forced JT Daniels to transfer. They thought he'd have, another great year, and instead they dropped the ball against a Stanford team that should not be able to compete with them. Just point blank, period. Even though they're both in the same conference, they should not be able to compete. This is going to be interesting because I've told you guys in the videos previously, watch out for the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Urban Meyer. We know Urban Meyer and his history in collegiate football, the success he has at the collegiate level. He's already wearing out his welcome down in Jacksonville. He's already ruffling feathers and wearing out his welcome in Jacksonville, and they're going to lose a lot of games. They are going to lose a lot of games. This Urban Meyer, one of his things that he's really known for in college football, he's known for the quick turnaround. At the college programs he's been at, whether it was Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, Ohio State, all of them, as the head coach, he always had quick turnarounds and massive success at every level. His last year, he had a quick turnaround in Utah. His last year, Utah, they went undefeated. He had a quick turnaround in Florida. Every year he had won 2 national championships in Florida. He had a quick turnaround. Ohio State, first year at Ohio State, he went 12-0. And then he ended up winning the first college football playoff championship. That's what Urban Meyer does. You can't do that in the NFL. It's very, very tough. First, you got to get the quarterback right. He's lucky because he got Trevor Lawrence. So he got the quarterback, but he's going to lose a lot of games. He's going to lose like 14 games this year. 12 or 14 games. They're going to go 4-13 or 3-14 or something ridiculous like that because the Jaguars are bad. They just got curb stomped by the Houston Texans, who, if you looked at all the preseason, mock 22 drafts, had Houston at number 1 because people thought they were the worst team in football. It turns out the Jaguars are still the worst team in football. So he's going to lose a lot of games. He's already wearing out the coaches that have coached in the NFL because he doesn't know things that are going on in the NFL, doesn't know how the NFL works. So he's rubbing those coaches wrong because he doesn't know. And then the assistants that he brought from the college level don't know. So the NFL guys aren't really crazy about him. These are all reports that are out there. And now that USC job is there, that USC job that fits right in his pocket, right with what he does best, which is coach at the college level and recruit at the college level. Recruiting. Urban Meyer could go to USC tomorrow and they would win 10 games next year. They'd go 10-2. They go 11-1 and be in the Rose Bowl. Urban Meyer, if he left the Jacksonville Jaguars right now and decided he wanted to go coach USC for next season, first of all, if he got hired right now, as far as to start to get the recruiting process, they'd have a top 5 recruiting class. Guarantee it. The 22 class would be top 5 in the country. And they'd be a top 10 team by the end of the season. Top 5 to 10 team by the end of the season. They'd finish 10-2, 11-1, and go to the Rose Bowl. That's what Urban Meyer does. That USC job, his focus right now is on the Jaguars. But come week 13, week 14, week 15, week 16, when his team is 3-12, and by week 15, week 16, they're 4-11. USC job's gonna look better and better. The more games this Jaguars team lose, they're 0-1. The more games that they lose, the sexier that USC job is gonna look to Urban Meyer. It's just that. You ain't got to worry about losing 12 games a year as the head coach of USC. When you're Urban Meyer, he'd put together a phenomenal staff, and he'd be able to recruit Southern California. He'd be able to recruit the West Coast. Those guys that are leaving and going to Bama would stay and play for Urban at USC. Those guys that Ryan Day are plucking from California would stay and play for Urban. Man, y'all better keep all the newspapers and all the phones and everything away from Urban, Jacksonville. You better hold your breath because the more and more games you guys lose, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, that's a cool toy. That is a really nice toy to have. That USC job, you can find your next Trevor Lawrence. We'll see what happens. And college football's praying to sweet baby Jesus that Urban Meyer goes to USC because him on the West Coast makes the Pac-12 relevant even more, right? Chip Kelly's doing some nice things at UCLA. Oregon just upset. Oregon's in the top 5. They just upset Ohio State. But to get Urban and USC would be a match made in college football heaven. The Pac-12 will be back. We'll see what happens, though. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss channel and Victory Formation. You can follow me on Twitter at JLightsy7, or for my Facebook, folks, is Jeff Lightsy Sports on Facebook. That is Jeff Lightsy Sports on Facebook. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Does Urban Meyer hit the road jack and head to Southern California at the end of this season to be the head coach of USC? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'll see you next time. Peace.